All right, you guys. So I just want to give a quick update on gold and also a few other things, right? I only trade gold, right? Disclaimer, I only trade gold before I get into these things talking about Bitcoin, XRP, and silver, right? Even though silver and gold are both commodities, right? I only trade gold, right? So take everything you hear about anything else with a grain of salt, and you can also take this with a grain of salt. Do your own research, right? But I just want to update you guys on a few things and what to look for, what to expect, and also why you should not panic, right? So everybody knows if you've been trading, if you've been in the market last Thursday and Friday, I think what the 30th and the 29th, right? Huge correction, right? Huge correction, huge drop in the market Thursday, Friday, huge drop on gold and silver, also Bitcoin and XRP, right? Um, so one thing to notice, right? Anytime any news is dropped, right, it always matches up with technical analysis, right? So it's not like news just comes out and it just pushes a pair one way or another way, right, unexpectedly, right? We all know this drop was coming prior, right? Now, we didn't know it was going to be this hard. We didn't know it was going to be that fast. And we didn't know when it was going to happen, right? You never know when things are going to happen in the market. You only react to them, right? So, with that being said, right, news came out last Thursday, Friday, right? I don't remember which day it was. I think it was probably Thursday or Wednesday, right? Of course, because that's when the sell-off happened. But pretty much, Trump had an interview, a lot of reports were going out. Um, the US dollar had a little bit of strength gaining, right? And anytime the US dollar goes up, right, gold is going to go down. Now, if you know anything, right? The US dollar has been losing value since its conception, right? That is why gold was made what? During the Nixon era, gold was made the gold standard, right? So we could pretty much have some kind of backing on the US dollar, some kind of standard to give it some kind of power, right? So we can, stand beside it and say, hey, $1 equals $1, $20 equals $20, right? $100 equals $100, and so on and so on, right? So whenever you have the dollar versus a commodity, right? If one goes up, the other is usually going to go down, right? That's usually what happens, right? So, like I said before, or like I said prior, everything that happens based off news, we see it in the market beforehand, or we see the possibilities of it happening beforehand because of technical analysis, right? We knew that gold had imbalances down below, right? We knew that gold had a lot of liquidity right down below. And this is the 1 hour time frame, right? But we had a lot of stuff, right? We had a lot of stuff down below, and we still did not get it, right? We still did not get it. So you're probably gonna still see gold take a little tumble. I would not be surprised, right, if it took a little tumble more than it already has, right, going into next week, going into February, right? The first month is down, right? Today is the last day of the month, so the first day is down. We're still in Q1, right? So we are going to take a tumble, right? And then also you got to look at too, right? When the month usually starts, that month candle, right? It usually buys up. Gold has already brought up, right? So with February about to start, you're probably going to see what? You're probably going to see it buy up and then come back down, right? So those are just some things to look for. Now I'm going to give you guys a few of my key zones as far as like what to expect on certain areas. I personally think that gold is going to hit at the end of the year above 55, above 55, above 5,600. Um, could be wrong, but it's probably going to get back up. It's going to break this high that it's just set, right? But before we do that, we're going to come back down. We're going to get that liquidity, right? That's how the markets work. You go up to come down, to go up to come down, right? Making higher lows and lower highs, right? So one thing to be aware of, right? And I'm gonna go to the 4 hour. It's a little bit more condensed, a little bit faster, right? So I'm gonna go to the 4 hour and I'm gonna show you guys some things, right? So we're probably gonna have gold, and you see I have all these marked, right? Don't pay no attention, but all of these are imbalances, right? So we're probably gonna see gold come back, um, probably to about 42, 43, right? About in that range, right? And then possibly go back up, right? It's going to come down and get those imbalances or get that liquidity before it goes back up and possibly makes a new high, right? And one thing to be curious, one thing to be mindful of, I almost say curious, one thing to be mindful of is you don't want to predict the market, right? So even though I said that gold is possibly going to go down and is going to get those imbalances or is going to grab that liquidity like it did on Thursday and Friday, right? It can still go back up, right? Because this level right here, it's establishing a zone, right? Or it's establishing an area of resistance, right? So it could establish this area and then go back up, right? You have to be able to react in the market, right? You don't want to predict, right? You want to have an analysis of the market, but you don't want to predict the market, right? Because as traders, all you can do is react, right? That's all you can do. If anybody tells you anything else, then they're lying, right? You just react to the market as far as being a day trader, right? Now, long-term investing, that can be a little different, right? But as far as day trading options, you react to the market, right? So with that being said, price will probably get back between 42, 43, right? Come down, do a little sweep, and then go back up, right? But if it doesn't, then you know what? Based off technical analysis, based off where price is, based off price action, based off market structure, now we can possibly see gold go back up, right? And then also with the first of the month coming, right? And you know, if you've been trading, right, every month usually does what? At least for the first few days or however long, right? It usually buys up. That candle buys up first of the month, right? Just because that's when data is dropped, things of that nature. And, that's just how the market works. So that's one thing to notice. And also the same can be said for silver. Like I said, I don't trade silver. So you'll probably see the same thing. But like I said before, I only trade gold. So I only look at gold. So I can't really tell you too much on silver. I just know they do move similar. I do know that they're both commodities. So if gold is going down, silver is probably going down too. I think Friday they said that silver dropped 30% while gold dropped 10%. But 30% is massive, right? That's pretty much one fourth, right? One fourth of that commodity erased, right? So a lot of people were probably panicking, but a lot of people were probably buying in, right? I mean, it dropped one fourth. You're probably gonna buy in if you're a long-term investor, right? You're gonna find some silver, some hard, real silver and buy it. And the same for gold, right? Because the price is low or the price is, reasonable where you can buy in and you can make profits, right? As far as, you know, buy low, sell high, that type of thing, right? So that's just my take on gold, right? So nothing to really, worry about. You're not gonna see gold drop out the sky. It was just a simple correction, right? This liquidity below, right? News was released, right? News messed up with the market structure or news messed up with technical analysis. And that's why you saw what you saw, right? Now, the way you did it, it was a lot, right? It was a lot, right? So I would err, or I would tell traders to be on the side of caution or err on the side of caution, right? And I say that because of this, right? So Friday we got into a trade, right, after being 2-0, and we did close out the week undefeated. But that trade went from um I think it hit all the TPs. I think it hit all the TPs in a matter of, let's see, 8:51 in a matter of 4 minutes, right? So gold went almost 200 pips, probably about 200%. I believe it was 190 pips, 190 something in 4, 5 minutes, right? That's very volatile, right? So my advice would be lower your lot size, right? Make sure entry is king, right? Entry is king, right? Make sure you're getting those prime entries into your signals, right? Whatever that may be. If you don't have an edge to where you can get good entries, all right, that's something you probably want to work on, especially during times like this. But that would be that would be my advice, right? Lower your lot size. You don't need to up your lot size and be greedy and say, hey, well, I would have gotten a sell up here with a certain amount, that I would have made a certain amount. This is not the time to do that, right? Um, that money is gonna come in time, right? You want to make sure you can live the trade of the day. You don't want to get in gold on a over leveraged lot size and it, spikes up, spikes down, whatever you're in, right? You may be in a buy, you may be in a sell. You don't want to spike up, spike down, and it knocks you out and you lose money because you were being greedy, right? Be calm, be patient, right? The money will come. All right, and that's easier said than done. I know y'all are probably like, it's in one ear and out the other, right? But I'm telling you, right, you don't need to go super big lot to make a lot of money, especially when it's being volatile, right? If price action is this volatile, it's going to give you enough pips. It's going to give you enough points to make whatever you need to make. So that's not really a problem, right? Just make sure you're being cautious, right? Make sure you're sticking to your rules. Make sure you're doing what you need to do to be successful, right? Everybody, I'm not gonna get into what you should have before you trade, right? Everybody should have guidelines, before you take a trade. Everybody should have guidelines when you're in a trade. Everybody should have target points where you can get out of trades, right? That's what that would be your exit point, right? Where you can get out of trades. You should not be in a trade just hoping it does X, Y, and Z, right? Because hope is not a strategy, you're going to lose, right? Hope is not a strategy. So yeah, so I mean, that big sell-off those 2 days is pretty much just a price correction, nothing to worry about. Overall trend on gold. You can see on a day chart, right? We're still buying up, right? Still going up. You can see, um, no worries, right? You see on the bottom of the screen right there, right? You got 2024, right? That's November. Still buying up, right? Still buying up. It's a commodity, people, right? It's a commodity. The markets are not crashing because they had a big correction, right? And I know you see this. It was a huge correction. It was a huge correction, but nonetheless, still a correction, right? So I would not worry. I would not think the market is crashing. It's not crashing, right? Just a simple correction. You can see over here, all these numbers are still pretty solid, right? I mean, we had some red days, some big red days, but we're still solid, right? Nothing's crashing yet, or nothing's crashing. So, get that out your head. And anyway, you're a day trader, right? If you're on this channel, if you're on this, um, if you're looking at this video, right, you're a day trader, right? You're not a long-term investor, right? We trade every day. So whether the market is going up, going down, only thing you care about is being available for that day, right? Being available and being of clear mind to trade that day. That's all you really care about. This is not long-term investing, right? This is this is day trading, right? Day to day, today, 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 right? So that's pretty much my outlook on gold. That's pretty much my little tips, my little cues on how to maneuver going, into the next month of February. Um, so yeah, man. So hope this call helped you guys. Like I said, I make all these calls brief. I don't think you gotta be on here for, hour or anything like that, unless you are like teaching something per se or doing something in depth. But just giving outlooks and overviews and just making sure people are aware of certain things. You don't need to be on here talking too long. I want to make sure that I have you guys' attention, that you're getting the information that I'm giving out and you're able to use it and benefit from it. So that's pretty much all I got to say for gold. Like I said before, we're not crashing, just a correction, right? You can look at the overall trend, right? You go to the higher time frames, of course, to look to the overall trend, right? Smaller time frames give you cues, but the overall trend is going to give you direction, right? Overall trend is always going to give you direction, and the direction for gold is buy, right? That's the overall goal. That's the overall trend, right? So no need to worry. We just had a massive sell-off, a massive correction, right? Nothing to be worried. We're still going up. We're probably going to end the year above 5,000, right? Um, so yeah. So no worries. Just make sure you play on the air of caution, right? Don't over leverage. Um, don't try to catch every move. Don't get out of a trade, right? If you're making money, don't. make money, then go back in and try to make more money, right? And mess up your days and things like that, right? Be patient, be cautious, be prepared, right? So hope this call helped you guys. That's pretty much my outlook on gold for this upcoming week and this upcoming year, upcoming month. So hope this call helped you guys. And yeah, so make sure if you're not subscribed, subscribe to the page. If you do not follow me on Instagram, follow me digital_money_Marv, right? You can find my trading page on that page, right? And remember, I will never ask you for money. So if anybody asks you for money, you're on a fake page, fake account, right? So be smart and let's have some common sense, you guys. Let's have some common sense. So hopefully you guys had a good, strong January. And if not, have a good, strong February, right? Come in prepared, back test this week, chart markup, be prepared, have your accounts funded, things of that nature. And yeah, so hope this, like I said before, hope this call helped you guys and just play it safe. Play it safe.